I'm going to discuss IBS, irritable bowel syndrome. It's a very common syndrome nowadays in our modern world, in our modern society, and it's what they call multifactorial, meaning it's got more than just one cause. So I'll address as best I can in this one video. I'll probably have to make other ones to go a little further with it. So let's start from the start. The foods we eat are very rarely foods nowadays because of the amount of intrusions and invasions that have gone into the food growing processes. Very simply, if you look at something like wheat, most people like to eat bread. Bread's a big part of the modern world diet, and the wheat that we eat isn't actual wheat. It's been hybridized, it's been genetically modified, it's been force-fed to grow faster, so it's a smaller crop than it used to be, and it's grown faster to produce a yield with a bigger head on it. But it's often devoid of trace element minerals. It's devoid of natural enzymes that the true form of the plant would have. And it's also devoid of friendly fats that would be in the husk and be in the kernel. It's also devoid of friendly fiber. And so when we prepare that food and eat that, the body doesn't recognize it as food anymore. And not only that once it's been harvested and it's been sprayed with Roundup to make the harvest occur at a quicker time period, once that wheat's been ground down, it's not stone milled like our ancestors used to do it, it's steel cut. So there's lots of different reasons why modern foods, particularly grains, have become quite toxic to our body nowadays. And that's because we're in such a hurry to grow this substance in an artificial environment that wasn't grown lovingly, wasn't grown respectfully, was force-fed, and then produced en masse to make a product that fills our bellies but doesn't give us any nutrients. And Rudolf Steiner said this a century ago, a very wise man who some people call him the father of biodynamics. But he said that a century ago, that in the times we live in now, we'd be eating a lot of food, there'd be plenty of food around, but it would be devoid of any real substance and nutrition. And he was absolutely right. So grains in particular are so full of chemicals, preservatives, additives, toxins, that our body just reacts to that. And so what does that do in our gut? When it goes through our gut membrane, our lining inside our stomach, and then the lining through our small intestine and our large intestine, it thickens immediately. It's sensed that this substance is an irritant, producing toxins. So what do we have to do? We have to thicken the membranes to protect ourselves against something that is potentially a poison. Just like if we eat something that's contaminated food and it gives us, say, salmonella, what's our body going to do? It's going to immediately say, this is a dangerous toxic substance, it's going to do damage, and so we're going to start pumping fluids through the lining of our gut and wash that out. And so we get diarrhea, or we purge, we get vomiting, in order to remove that toxin, which is the bacteria is harmful, it's going to do damage to us. It's not a food, it's now a toxic substance. So intolerances is not a full-on allergen, but it's becoming that way. So many people are intolerant, particularly to wheat products and to dairy products, because dairy is the same. The dairy milk that we drink, we're the only species that drinks the milk of another animal. All other animals don't do that in nature. But we've got around it by creating bacterial ferments, so we can have kefirs and milk cultured yogurts, where we add extra bacteria that allows our stomach and our upper gut to be able to break the proteins and the fats down in that milk, which is designed to make a calf grow in 18 months. We're not actually designed to grow to full size in 18 months. We need about 21 years, 22, 23, 24 years to grow to our full physical size. So again, we're eating products that nature really didn't design us to eat, but we're pretty adaptable, us humans, and we've learned to get around it. But once we start messing around with it too much, there is a point where the body just says, I'll tolerate it, but I won't digest it. And after time, this tolerance gets less and less, and so we become intolerant. And so now we're getting all these inflammatory reactions where we're starting to get irritable bowel. Sometimes we're getting a loose stool. Sometimes we're getting constipation. Because the body's going, I'm not really sure what I'm doing here. We don't know quite what to do with this substance. And then other times it becomes a full-on allergic reaction to the substance that we've eaten because of all the chemical interference that I've mentioned. And so now it's just a full-on reaction. So it becomes diarrhea severe, and we're starting to head towards colitis, where the lining of the bowel is starting to shed mucus because we're reacting that badly. It's trying to get rid of this substance that's a toxin to us. So it's very important that we understand that we need to get back to the way our forefathers used to do it. So if we could eat ancient grains that were grown naturally and weren't force-fed and hybridized and GMO'd, and they still had that natural blueprint that our DNA can acknowledge, then that's a food source. That will feed us protein, that will feed us fats, that will feed us nutrients that we can eat and live on all day, just like our ancestors used to do. But you try doing that with a loaf of modern grown white bread and see how long you last. Your blood sugar's going to shoot up and go down again. And I used to notice that when I'd eat it, in the earlier days, I'd just fall asleep. It would just make me heavy and tired. Then I started to realise, I'm not digesting this food properly. So it's very important for us to look at the quality of the foods. And then we can look at the way we eat the foods. Are we eating them while we're on our screens? Are we eating them quickly because we're in a hurry? Are we revved up? Meaning we've gone into that sympathetic dominance that I've spoken about in a previous video, where we're running on adrenaline. Our nervous system's all revved up. We have to have a parasympathetic nervous system in order to be able to digest food. So we've got to be able to rest and digest. So when we sit down and eat our meal, we need to eat it slowly. We need to be relaxed. We need to be sitting around with other people and enjoying that food. We need to be taking it in, not trying to take in all this extra stuff. So we tend to eat too much food, too many types of food, and in the wrong time and in the wrong way in our dietary habits of our modern world. And so our gut gets inflamed. And that contributes to a whole host of other diseases. So in traditional medicine, the Chinese used to say, death begins and ends in our stomach. If our stomach's working well and our gullet's working well, we're going to work well. If not, we're going to live a weak, sickened existence, and we're heading towards a premature death.